Good Sunday morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day here in Toronto, Canada, and I think it's perfect timing for me to show you this week's sketch tour. It's week 29 of me drawing every day for a year. Let's get into it. The first spread is of my sister's place, or one area of my sister's place. I was trying to draw a scene where it was really detailed. There's a lot of stuff and elements into it, but not draw everything individually. I want to suggest things. How do you suggest a lot of stuff with a broad nibbed fountain pen? I think for the most part it was a unsuccessful drawing. However, there are elements that I do like about this drawing. For instance, the shadowing and the sort of crinkling of that paper bag on the shelf beneath on this table. And I think the highlight for me is the extension cord wraparound of the vacuum cleaner. I didn't draw every revolution of that extension cord. I drew the main ones, and I think your mind just fills in the gaps and reads that there's more revolutions around the top of that vacuum cleaner. Next spread was when I was coming home from my sister's place. I had to take the GO train and then the subway back to my place. And there was nobody around on the GO train, so I sketched what was in front of me, which was, and that if you've been around, if you viewed a few of my videos, that mantra is one of the leading mantras in my head. Sketch whatever is in front of you. So this is what was in front of me, a no frills bag. And then I hopped on the subway after that, and there was a gentleman sleeping across 3 seats on the subway, which was invitation for me to just sketch him. This page was all about faces, as you could clearly see, but it was more about how do I use the fountain pen, a broad nib fountain pen, to contour a face. I'm still working on that. Like how do you use line work to imply 3D-ness? I'm used to a more finer nibbed pen, especially a ballpoint pen, so I could really get into gradations and nuances of a face with a ballpoint pen drawing. However, with a fountain pen, I find it a lot more difficult to create that same nuance in the face. It's pardon the pun, black or white, and I have to use that principle somehow to form faces. Overall, it was good. And on the other side of this, it was in 2 sittings. I did these faces in 2 sittings, and it was really an exercise of perseverance and just sort of, after the first face, which was this one, I was just like, oh, I'm ready for a coffee break. But no, I continued sitting and just continued mowing through faces. And at one point, it was like, oh, I'm done 4 faces. An hour had passed. It didn't feel like an hour. And that was the first time in a long time that I felt like I was in the flow of things. More faces, my face in particular. Self-portrait. I enjoy the self-portrait. I really like drawing my face. I'm familiar with it, but at the same time, it's an exercise to improve upon the depiction of my face. This was done on July 26th. It was snippets throughout my day. Whenever I had time to draw, I drew what was in front of me. I took Uber ride to Mississauga first thing in the morning, so I was drawing him, and then it sort of goes this way. I went back downtown Toronto, Ryerson University campus. These people were promoting Christianity, so they had this sandwich board up, and they were just waiting to talk to people, or trying to get to talk to people. Some pigeons, flying rats of Toronto, and then a late night dinner of a over medium egg with Hungarian salami, cheddar, and a white French loaf. During that same day, it brought me out to Mississauga, and as it happened, there was this church that had this beautiful, quiet cemetery in the back, and I thought, oh, perfect opportunity. And then when I got home that night, I was like, okay, let's continue the theme of cemeteries and dead people. And I was playing dead for this particular pose. This next spread was just getting into drawing that day. I think this is, what's his name? The actor's name? Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff. He played Frankenstein. And it was a great pose, great stare. And then for this side here, a gentleman in my local food court on his phone, of course. And this particular monster was a bleed through of the marker work here. So I just outlined it and it reminded me of fish. So I put eyes and some teeth and voila, a fish. This next one, don't have to say anything more. This is Lionel Messi. He plays with the Miami Football Club now, but he arguably is the greatest footballer in the world right now, and of course, the GOAT. And the last spread for week number 29, and it just so happens it ended on July 29th, was a random bunch of images. I was riding the subway home. This lady was there. Why not capture her? And then it didn't feel like a fulfilled spread, so I was just sketching random things. I sketched this man sitting on the sidewalk, and then I had an ice cream cone and sitting down, and there was this car there parked across from me, so I sketched that. And it was really funny when I was sketching this particular car, this gentleman out of the corner of my eye, I saw him, just made a beeline for me. Turned out he was an Iranian gentleman here alone in Canada, and we got to talking, and his daughter's in art school back in Iran. And he would literally, as I was drawing this, he was 6 inches away from me to my left, just watching me draw this car. It was a nice encounter. I really enjoyed it. I could have stayed longer, but I was sitting on this cold, hard concrete bench, and that's not the most conducive sitting environment if you want to sit for a long time and draw. So anyways, this ends week 29. I hope you liked it. And oh, by the way, this is the larger sketchbook. It's 8.5 by 11. And my mentality, if you haven't noticed in the last few spreads, is to still sort of pack the spread. This one, not so much, but the previous spreads, I just want to pack it full of line work and imagery. And it takes a lot more time than I've noticed than doing it in a 5.5 by 8 inch sketchbook. Anyways, thank you for joining me again. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.